Hey Pisces, happy new moon to you. So today is the new moon in Leo, and this forecast is taking you from the planetary picture of the new moon in Leo right the way through to the full moon in Aquarius on the 9th of August. Now, this is an interesting time because to me, it's bringing up loads of different themes, in particular ones about inner renewal, the death of the self, the idea of shining a light on all those different sort of unconscious parts of us, sort of unmasking us at quite a core and deep level. One of the things in between this new moon and the full moon is this sense of devotion to distortion. There is this real sort of unmasking going on. I really do think that we're understanding where maybe we've held a mask in place, but also the shock of seeing other people's masks come completely unhinged and really obvious to see. So yeah, there's some really big stuff going on. Now, in this, what I would like to do is sort of talk you through the new moon phase, the waxing moon phase a little bit, sort of point you or signpost you to some of the most important aspects that are going on and to share with you why, what's the impact of them. But really, there's three core sort of questions that I've got sort of underpinning this. One of them is, what is the truth that you're remembering about yourself right now beneath all of the noise, all of the distractions? What's really at the heart of you? What part of you is returning? What part of you is returning stronger, more resilient, more wise, softer maybe? And also, where have you been hiding? And what would happen if you was to stop hiding right now? I quite like that. That's my favorite question. So hopefully I'll get to answer these. But anyway, I think this is going to be fun. So if you're new to this channel, my name's Louisa Tanner-Muntz and welcome to Feel Good Astrology. I hope this floats your boat. If you've come back, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And as I bring up these slides, I just want to say a quick shout out or say thank you to everybody that has supported my channel this far and also who continues to support me and my channel. I really, really appreciate it. So the new moon to full moon, then I love this phase. This is my favorite phase. I think, it's all about growth. It's all about making things bigger, to sense the possibility. I'm also born in a new moon phase, which also figures, this energy of growth is fresh. It is about renewal. And it's a really great place to kind of lay down your intentions. So if you're one of these soulful Pisces and you've got this sort of burning desire for something beautiful to erupt in your life, to grow in your life, then this is the time to be sowing these seeds. Or even just one seed, the idea of planting an idea, an intention, and then just kind of stepping back a little bit and seeing how it feels, noticing what else is coming in. I don't think we do this on our own. A bit like, when we sow a seed into the soil, it looks like that's the job done, but the sun has to shine on it. The soil has to stay nice and warm and moist. You might need a bit of rain. You might need to water it. There's so much more to growing a plant or growing an intention, and it's not all on your shoulders. I think most of the time we think we have to do it all ourselves, and that's not really the case. So this new moon phase is mystery. It's like you're in the mystery, you're in the dark, you're in your own intuition. You don't have any light to guide you. All you have is this sense of, this is what I need to do right now, and you plant it and you wait and you see what comes up. And I think in this first quarter, this first week leading up to the first quarter moon, what arises for me is the fact that once you set an intention, it's important to watch out. What is life giving you? Who gets in contact with you? What messages do you see? What flashes up in your YouTube feed? There's all these little clues, all these little helpful tips, tricks, and bits of intel that can help you to develop that intention. After the first quarter, then things start to come in a bit faster. The illumination is coming back. You're not having to do it all from within. Now the outside is coming in and is informing you and helping things grow. This is a time when things get faster and faster, and when things grow faster and faster as well. So all in all, we are coming into a very, very busy phase. It starts off a bit slow, but after halfway, which is around the 1st of August, then it starts to speed up. Now, when we look at this as in the form of a diary, there's a few dates that really catch my eye, but the main ones are the day of the new moon, the day of the first quarter, and also the day of the full moon. Now, the reason I said that is they all share something in common, and that is that they all have something on that particular day that is connecting exactly with the Saturn and Neptune conjunction. So there is a Saturn and Neptune conjunction in the sign of Aries, and it is absolutely an energy that is growing something, definitely for you, because it's in your second house. This is about your ability to grow and earn and also receive. This is about your money, your affluence, your abundance, but also your joy in yourself. And so Saturn and Neptune on each of these dates is being impacted by different planets. And to me, these are real sort of like turning point moments. Other things I think are important is Venus going into Cancer. The reason I think this is important is once she gets into the sign of Cancer, and particularly from maybe say the 5th of August, she's getting closer and closer to Jupiter. And Jupiter and Venus together, obviously Jupiter's your ruling planet. These are really beautiful together. These are really sort of helpful. These are very loving together. This is a lovely, lovely energy for you to work with. So yeah, that's a really strong date, the 31st. The 31st into the 1st, in fact, because there's a retrograde Mercury Cazimi that's absolutely divine, and I think is really going to help you tune into something that you need to resolve. And I'm going to talk about that right now. I will also add in that Mars is going into Libra, which I think is a big deal, even though he's not very strong there. So here's the new moon in Leo chart, and you can see that the new moon is happening in your 6th house. And Mercury retrograde is also in your 6th house. The 6th house is interesting because it's about your day-to-day, everything about your day-to-day, your life. If you were to map out your life with a great big mind map, what time you get up, your routine, how you do everything, when you clean your teeth, what do you take to work, how do you manage your money, everything is kind of encapsulated in this 6th house. It's a very, very functional place, and it's where we're really building the story of us, because on Mondays I do this at this time. This is really building a story and a routine, and we can get really stuck in the 6th house as well. It's not all sort of positive. We can get really lost in our own routines and kind of forget who we really are. But this new moon, I think, is injecting a sense of new possibilities. It's maybe indicating that you're about to bring on a new hobby, maybe, or there's something new you need to add into your routine, your daily kind of energy. To me, this is a fresh start as well. This might also be to do with how you're handling things. So you might find that you're kind of drawing a line under the past and, going ahead in a new way. I think the fact that Mercury is also retrograde through this house is also quite telling. It's also showing that not only do you need a new start, but you also need to review how you do things. You need to review what's working, what's not working, why it's not working, and has it ever worked? And so to me, there's a real sort of sense of, yes, I need to renew the way I do my whole life. It feels really quite big and important. Now, this is in opposition to Pluto in your 12th. Now, Pluto in your 12th is, I think, showing that the unconscious mind and that need to kind of let go of your story is getting stronger and stronger. In fact, Pluto can bring up some insecurities, a few fears along the way. He can be a little bit fearful. And, in the 12th house, it is a place where all of our sort of programming lives. All of those old memories, all those old triggers, those old upsets and old disasters, they're all kind of lodged in our mind. And, Pluto here can definitely stir up things about it. And he can definitely bring in this feeling of, I need to control that, because if I don't, this could go wrong. However, I actually think Pluto working in opposition to this new moon in the 6th, to me, is really suggesting that there's another way of doing things. And actually, do you want to be caught in this sense of rush, 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 organize, organize, organize. Pluto here, I think, is really encouraging you to be sort of deeply powerful, deeply intuitive, deeply into a new kind of web, a new kind of life. It's something a lot more organic. Now, I don't mean organic as in the vegetables and fruit that you're eating, but in the kind of shape, that it doesn't have to be regimented. It doesn't have to be so precise. Pluto here in your 12th is really opening you up to a new kind of power, a sort of power and knowing that actually you're way more important than the actual structure. To me, this is a reevaluation of what real sovereignty is, where your power is. I was talking to somebody yesterday who was who'd been involved in or had observed a recent sort of disaster, and in the conversation, in the telling of the conversation, we were talking about the sort of sense of aliveness that comes when we face an unstoppable, sorry, I've got an itchy nose. When we face what appears to be like an unstoppable situation, when we kind of fear for our life, or when we look life right in the eyes, a lot of the time we don't get to see that kind of thing, because our routines keep us quite sanitized. They keep us on the straight and narrow. They keep us just noticing the things we need to notice. But I actually think this new moon is about so much more than that. It's offering you something much deeper, which is a look into your real power that absolutely blasts out the routine. So yeah, there's some tension there. And then when we look at the full moon, you'll see that the moon and Pluto are both in the 12th, and also that Mercury and the sun are in the 6th. So there's still this kind of polarity between, the story is really important, and yet this sort of intuitive knowing, this psyche is just like, I'm really up for I'm up for the mystery of life. I really want to explore the yumminess. I want to explore the nourishment. Now Pisces aren't necessarily known for being the most organized people. I do know some strong Pisces types who are. I sometimes wonder if that is more of a strategy to keep you sane, because the sensitivity that comes with the Pisces energy is usually so strong that it's easier actually to have a good, strong kind of container to put yourself in, because you know where you start, you know where you end, you know what's what, and Pisces energy can be sometimes so amorphous that having some structure around it can be quite beneficial, quite helpful. But I really do think this whole new moon to full moon time is making you question the very containers that you're putting your life in, and making you question how you can be more free. So when I go back to that, what truth am I remembering beneath the noise? I think that you're a spiritual being and that you're wild. There you go. That's a good one, isn't it? I think you're remembering that you're a wild creature, that you have a wildness, that you are of nature. You're not meant to be regimented. You're not meant to be sort of dotting I's and crossing T's. You're meant to be going to the beat of your own drum. And so maybe this new moon in Leo isn't so much about creating a new structure, but it's about creating a way that can be a lot more wild, a lot more ready for the real you. In asking what part of me is returning stronger, softer, wiser. Wow. I actually think the North Node going through your first house is actually really showing the return, actually. It's like right now you're finding out about yourself as a matter of, if you don't find out about yourself, who you're going to be. To me, like the North Node is really showing the understanding of the true self is what you're committed to right now. And that's going to be still going through the sign of Pisces until, I think, is it late June, early July of 2026. And then the North Node is going to go into the 12th house. So there is this unraveling of the story of what it is to be a human being in the Western world right now. I suspect there's many thoughts about, what is the purpose of life? How is my purpose kind of expressed throughout my physical, monetary, and daily life? What's it all about? How does it all work? So this is interesting to me. There's a really great depth going on. The question, where have I been hiding, and what happens when I stop hiding? Oh, that's a good one. I actually think Uranus has got something to do with this. Uranus has actually been in your third house for quite a while, really showing this kind of love of the eclectic and this kind of unusual community that you've been sort of connected with, and possibly a travel community, possibly a community that maybe even online communities, given that it's Uranus. But actually, I think you might have been hiding in those communities, and now it's time for you to be your freaky self at home. Sorry, I don't mean to call you freaky. I mean, we've all got Uranus somewhere in our chart. But, right now, Uranus is in your fourth house. He's activating that sense of, and I said this, I think in the Virgo reading as well. What if the wrongness of you is the rightness of you? This is a phrase from Access Consciousness. What if you completely being yourself at home is what is required to find out who you are, to remember who you are, that wildness that I was talking about? And I wonder what's going to happen when you stop trying to sanitize yourself and get wilder and accept that there are parts of you that are really, really different, really unusual. And you start embracing those rather than kind of covering them up a little bit. So, yeah, I think there is definitely a less inhibited side of you that's due to come out any minute now. There is one part of this that I really want to bring your attention to, because I really love it. And at the time of the full moon, it is, there's a lot of conflict going on for sure. Pluto in opposition to Mercury, the sun and the moon, and then Mars in opposition to Saturn and Neptune. Neptune's one of your rulers, by the way. But really what I want to point your attention to is this beautiful conjunction that's arising and applying between Venus and Jupiter. These are the two benefics. These are the two beneficial planets that represent luck, fortune, abundance, flow, a feeling of goodness, a feeling of innocence and sharing and kindness and compassion, both in the sign of water, which is really lovely because Mars is exalted in that sign. And they're both connecting into the North Node, which is going through your first house. To me, this is almost like a rebirth. The fifth house is a place of birthing. It's a place where we have children. It's also a place where we kind of give birth to new relationships. This is a place of a new relationship, potentially, if you're single. This, Venus and Jupiter together in the fifth can also bring about this birthing of a new project for you that really feels like it's your baby. Maybe it's an act of heroism, an act of philanthropy. Maybe it's just an act of, I love this so much. My passion is here. This is what I'm going to do. No, just try and stop me kind of energy. But this Venus and Jupiter to me is a devotion. This is a beautiful devotion that's coming up right now. And it's getting stronger even after the full moon. They are going to come into a deeper and deeper conjunction. And whilst that is happening and stimulating a change in your direction in life, I just think this is wonderful. So my last question to you, I think, is what is it that you're birthing? What would you love to birth? What is your greatest passion right now? If there was one thing that you could do that and like money wasn't an issue, like if you didn't have to work every day or not spend every day, if you needed to, if you had no resistances at all and could do anything that you love, what is your absolute core passion? I think if you started to sort of embrace what's different about you and follow what is absolutely your deepest passion, it is going to send you on such a new journey, like into a whole new journey into self. And to be fair, it feels like the mask of social adaptation, of social acceptance, that mask is shattering a little bit right now. And it might feel really scary And yet I really honor you for going through this process right now. To me, it feels like there is this beautiful unraveling. And in that is the return of everything that is held dear, within your mind body system. So I think I'm going to leave that there. That feels like a good point to stop. Now, I haven't really mentioned love so much or career, and I'm offering a little sort of taster of my romance forecast and also my career forecast, which I do every 2 weeks for my members. But yeah, this week I want to offer you a little bit of a heads up from each of those, so you get to experience them. So if you would like to experience them, just keep watching. And at the end of this video, click on the video. It will be already linked up for you, so you can go straight there. So anyway, lots of love to you, Pisces. Have a good one, and speak to you real soon. Bye for now.